So this is a very short video made by Ben Holken in the School of Mechanical and Mechatronic Engineering at UTS on how to effectively get good modal impact measurements using a SCADAS mobile and Simcenter Testlab application, Modal Impact application. I'm going to try and keep it fairly brief. So we're just having a quick look at this, and I'm making measurements from this multi-degree of freedom tower here. I'm actually filming with my left hand and I'm right-handed, so I'm going to demonstrate hopefully how to make these measurements. Here you can see that we've got some geometry feedback available, and I'm currently being told that the first point I need to make a measurement at is this left-hand tower, degree of freedom number 1. We've got the first run ready. The hammer location is correctly identified. If I increment or decrement this value, then the point at which I'm told to strike increases according to what's included in the hammer location there. So I can choose where I make my measurement from, but normally we start at point number 1 and work our way up to, in this case, point number 8 in a logical way. I can also select the number of averages that I wish to take. I'm going to take 3 in this case. I can choose to implicitly accept, i.e. the software assumes that I'm able to make good impacts, or I can explicitly accept, in which case I have to, after each of these 3 averages, click the accept button. I've been doing this a while, so I'm going to choose implicitly accept, and then I'm going to hit the start button. I get a little bit of audio feedback there, and if I pick up the hammer, what I'm trying to do is essentially just gently strike the tower, or pluck it if it was a guitar string. So that's one impact. And I've hit that too hard, so I've overranged the impact hammer on that one. And so here, this is a very nice example. I can reject that because I don't want it to be included in my average. So let's go back to the tower. Normally I would stop any vibration before I do my next measurement. And that was much more gentle. You can see I've got a nice green bar on both of those. You can immediately see I've got 8 degrees of freedom, so I've got 8 very nice clean responses or peaks in my frequency response function. I can just minimize the geometry feedback for a moment, so I can also see my instantaneous and averaged FRF side by side there, and the beginnings of a coherence function. I've got my time domain impulse there for the hammer and the associated FFT, or a PSD in fact, and similarly I've got the response measurement here in time domain on the upper of those various plots, and immediately below it an FFT shown on a linear axis. I'm now told that I've done 1 average, I've got 2 left, so I can come back to the tower. Again, I've given that too big of an impact, so hit the reject. It's quite difficult to do this with one hand on the camera. That's better. I will go to the display actually, because now you can see here I've got very nice coherence along here. The instantaneous FRF should look essentially the same each time if I'm doing a good job of striking the hammer, and the average FRF and the instantaneous FRF should be comparable if I'm managing to achieve the same kind of impact. You can see that the coherence is a little bit poor in this location, but that's because we've got no response here. This is primarily an 8 degree of freedom system, so we've got 1 very low peak and then 7 more peaks if you can count in there. One of them is at 4.5 hertz for this tower. We know that's the fundamental frequency, and these excitation transducers, accelerometers and force transducers generally don't work so well at such a low frequency. And there's my 3rd impact. And this time I got a green indicator again. I got a little nice bell sound to indicate that that's finished. So I've done those 3 averages. I can now increment to the next point if I'm happy with the data that I've collected. So I can increment now to point number 2. If I bring my geometry feedback up, we're ready to go on point number 2, and I can resume with the next run by hitting the start button, and away we go. That's the end of this video. Thank you. Have fun with Modal Impact.